Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley,
I am Commander Cookers.
and today we're taking a look at a very interesting ship. But before we do that, gotta say this episode is sponsored by Star Trek Adversaries, which is a great new computer game, soon to be a mobile
Mm.
game, which has some fantastic ships in it, and it's a really cool game. So
It's,
check it
it's
out.
it's like a card game. In fact, it's a card game, but it's got so much good CG in it. It is actually really fun. That's what you want, is a fun game. So please go look. And they were kind enough to work with us to get some new renders of some of their exclusive Discovery ships. As Eagle Moss were the first to get a few of those out, these guys are the first to get some other ones out. And so, with an exclusive of new renders of at least their version, based on the original, obviously, of the Star Trek Klingon Bird of Prey brackets Discovery. And we even have the scale thanks to Eagle Moss, because that was released.
Sweet,
So that'll
sweet.
be interesting. So, Stuart,
Yes,
first reaction seeing it, crisp, clean, and not with motion blur or black.
it is a fantastic looking ship. It's very gothic. It has like a vampire kind of feel. This could fit
Yeah.
in with a movie like Life Force, with talking about space vampires,
Or Riemann,
or I was going to get there. Yeah, it's very much like the Scimitar design, so it looks very Riemann.
a rustic
Um,
Riemann ship.
yes, so it's a cool looking ship. Don't get me wrong, it's a cool design, but is it a Klingon bird of prey? Nope. I mean, it is officially, but I don't think so. But it's neat looking. It could also fit in the world of Stargate, I think.
Well,
Uh,
Death Glider for sure.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
but that's the
that's
problem
my
with,
thoughts.
that's the problem with having wings of that sort. You know, there's a Centauri ship in Babylon 5 that was very, very similar to the Death Glider. Because how many times you do the wings and there's only amount. Yeah. Beautiful design in a sense, although already I would have tweaked a few things because the way the engine pod is and the way it defies the conventional fore aft style, which is interesting. But having had a little bit of play with it in 3D with this model, it doesn't equate to very smooth animations because it has to fly in one way only. You know, it doesn't really. It's not an elegant ship. Whereas if the head was pointed, there's things you could do to it to make it work better. But that's more other views. But yeah, lovely design. It's totally not Klingon aesthetically.
Neither are the
And
Klingons, so it's fine.
true. It's actually a very good metaphor for their rebooted nature. This is the less how they used to look, more scaly pieces and grayer with no hair. All that. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's one of their it's probably the only good Klingon design. Like has a design because Sarcophagus ship is good, but I don't.
The one they're passing off as a D7 is a very cool design.
Yeah, I
It's a
haven't.
very cool looking
Yeah,
ship.
yeah, I haven't seen other views of that. That I'll save judgment on for sure. But like the primary ones, this is probably the most interesting of them, I think.
Yeah,
Hence
I'd say the
styling this
most.
one.
Well, yeah. Nah.
But let's go on to these because we want to provide new information. And just so everyone knows, this will be a comparison with the scale stuff. We're going to look at other bird of prey later on. This is more the general stuff. But it is worth noting that this bird of prey, and yes, it's called the bird of prey, was seen in 2256. The original bird of prey from Enterprise was seen in 2153. And the first time we see a bird of prey, the conventional type, was 2285. So those are some dates. And we do know the scale of this ship. And we do kind of know they've upscaled the Discovery stuff. So, not knowing necessarily the scale, Stuart, where do you think this fits on the scale spectrum? And I have compared it to like a Connie, like Discovery. Where does it fit, do you think?
Um, well, if you say you can compare it to like an original Constitution class design, um, I want to say so much smaller, but I have a feeling it's probably about the same size. And I haven't seen the scale yet, guys. I'm just going by what I know Discovery is doing with upscaling. This is supposed to be like a scout vessel kind of thing.
I
So
don't think we know what it is, to be honest. It's a bird of prey. We don't see it
yeah,
apart from attack things.
yeah.
Let's
I'd say the size of a Constitution class, like lengthwise.
well,
Probably.
let's not leave the audience thinking. So here is the top view. And once again, thank you very much for Star Trek Anniversaries for the Discovery, their version.
That's
scaled
nice.
and I chose all the stuff that was sort of around the same time or pre, because I don't want to compare it to the later Bird of Prey, because it's a Scout class Burrell. It's A, quite way in the future, and B, different. So that's the two biggest Klingon ships. Those are the two biggest Federation ships. And then the Discovery herself. What do you think?
Well, it's pretty on par with the retro Enterprise era Bird of Prey, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
that's the Eagle. That's the Eagle Moss size of the Bird of Prey. It's not the CG size of the Bird of Prey for Eagle Moss, because that was different. Even though the CG scale was a light rig, which is annoying to change. But I went for Eagle Moss just because we're relying on the Eagle Moss scale for Discovery and for the Bird of Prey. And the Discovery one especially has been heavily disputed by fans based on shots from the show. But I'm going with that version because I feel like that's a consistent scale to keep for this one. Sorry, just had to make that clear.
Yeah, because I pictured the Enterprise era Bird of Prey a little bit smaller than that, but yeah, as I said, it's roughly about the same size as the Constitution class, which this actually all works for me.
It's not bad, is it? I mean,
Oh.
just as soon as obviously you're ignoring the Discovery because it's sort of so overblown in the scene, it's like you don't even see it. Yeah, again, that just shows the parallels of how oddly proportioned that is for the time. But yeah, Klingon ships, I mean, it doesn't fit design-wise, but it fits scale-wise for once, which is nice. On the Eagle Moss magazine, it's a very blurry image, but it's either 168.7 meters or 188.7 meters. The way it is difficult to say. I think I went for the 68, just my personal. That's why I saw the lettering being. So 168, so just a bit bigger. Wasn't very, very comparable.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, with sizing, it's all perspective and how it looks. Do we have pictures of it from the side? Because, like I said, I haven't gone through and looked at these yet.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Should I speculate whether I think
just jump right to it? Tell me what you think.
With the way it's designed, I think it's going to be pretty tall compared to a lot of the other ships that we're seeing here, and it's going to look kind of out of place, I think.
And so, next picture. I mean, it's certainly the most birdy. I mean, it has more of a falcon bat appearance.
It has a bat appearance if it's flying the way it's supposed to, and it has a falcon-like wing shape if it was flying backwards. But yes. This is bigger than I expected from the side, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that wingspan is just huge. I mean, you can imagine these against Connies. I mean, the Connie was Constitution class was meant to be one of the biggest ships of the period. And it's like, wow, these huge birds of prey. It really, again, wingspan. You know, it's like, oh, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, well, speaking of Constitution classes, I think the one that they showed is a little bit bigger than the original Constitution class that we see here. So this would be small compared to the Discovery version of the Constitution class. So.
Well, that's not canon yet.
True enough.
They still have time to change that. But yeah, I mean, also you're seeing it in comparison to the two other Klingon ships, and I mean, there are no more comparison with Klingons in this particular episode. But looking at it, I mean, obviously the color palettes change. I'd love to see it in a sort of grey paneling, what that might do to the feel. But I mean, are there parallels? I mean,
there's sort of a neck and sort of like a bridge module thing, which is kind of the Klingon standard up to this point. You got a boom and you got a front section that's a command section. They could have done that. They could have extended that neck a little bit and added like that. Even they kept the bulbous shape that they have on that would have worked for me. Just extend the neck a little bit.
You know, it's interesting. There aren't even cannons in the wings, like attached. Like, you know, if you look at all the things that the Bird of Prey has, it has the front section, the neck, which is like just a corridor. The old version has lots of cannons. The new version has two sets of cannons. It has a back part, has a red-orange glow. It has things that move, the wings that move. This has none of those things. It has sort of a neck, but it's really just integrated. I mean, it has none of the elements from Bird of Prey. But like I said, it has more of a bird appearance. But the Bird of Prey is a colloquialism. It's a Burrell class or a Cavort class.
Yes.
Bird of Prey is what we call it, / I guess they called it when they, translator it. That's a, well, it looks like this rather than its actual name. you know, like a Borg cube is a cube because it's a cube. It might have its own designation, you know. So, and as we said before, you know, birds. What ship was it in the Romulan fleet that was based on a bird? It's like, yeah, birds of that culture. So maybe this is what birds look like. But it's a. They've gone more the wording of the literal idea of the ship, but pulled away from any of its roots and actual design evolution. And we're going to do a follow-up episode directly comparing the evolutionary stance of these three ships and seeing what might carry over. But I mean, it's interesting. The point of these events is to show it and you know, put it into context, because they say it's prime canon, so we'll absolutely address it as prime canon. That's our job.
Sure.
Next picture. Yeah.
This is like a 3/4 view from the back top, and again, this makes it look like a totally different ship. The swing shape almost doesn't translate to the other versions or the other views we've seen, I think.
It's got an axe.
Yeah, it does, and very much. It's way more feathery at the edge than I initially thought too.
Yeah.
And it's got like vertebrae, like spines sticking out the back. I mean, it looks like a dead carcass. Which is very interesting.
It pulls elements in. It looks cool. And
it does.
But straight when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is its mode for planetary attack, where the engine module is pointing downwards. Obviously, the back boom pushes up and becomes flat, and obviously the wings go out. And then straight away, that I think would instantly have more of a feel, and have the continuity. And then we're forcing the retcon here, but you know, obviously we can say the Enterprise bird of prey could not be an atmosphere. It just wasn't designed for that. The later bird of prey obviously can, because they've upgraded enough to the point where you can. This was that in between step. They knew they wanted to do bombardments. It's a warship. You know, we have to hit a stationary target, so we have to have what's those VTOL. We have to have VTOL mode where it alternates. And now it can hover. I would buy that. Okay, cool. But as the core design, this is a poor way of the ship looking, if you want to link to the pre-existent. But again, you could fix it. Not too much hassle, you know?
Well, that's kind of the thing that we point out with a lot of the ships that we look at on the show. With a few modifications, it would make it so much better. And this, I don't get the Klingon vibe from this. I do very much. If you put this beside the Scimitar from Nemesis, it's definitely a Riemann ship, in my opinion.
It's like a Riemann strike fighter that's old but really reliable.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
The parallels are ridiculous, and John Eves didn't have a hand in this. This is not one of his, you know, Klingons were by different persons. There is no influences there, but yeah, it's amazing how it can translate to a totally different race.
You know what else I could see this being? The Xindi. We never saw the avians because they were extinct. Maybe this is an avian Xindi design.
100%. Yeah, like a bird in flight. I mean, it certainly links to the new Klingon aesthetic. You know, everything being sharp because we like sharp, killy, stabby things. The prongs on the spine, you know, are the more exaggerated everything that works. Although I'm trying to parallel it back. I mean, the engine module is so much smaller than the other two ships. It must be slower. It must be whatever. I mean, maybe if the engine, you know, if they'd made those spine elements point out but have an internal structure, kind of like the back of the bird of prey, you know, the original ones, and then go down and have lit elements, could look really cool and have the red glow, and you know, you could do that to make it more, rather than just be it's got spikes, guys. I guess that might be heat dispersion technology, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say something, but I just took a look at the next picture. So let's go to the next picture. This one, I can say this.
Wow.
It's almost like, so this is 3/4 view, but underneath, looking up at it from the rear. Here, it looks very much like it's an attacking bird, like it's swooping down on you.
Yeah. With a rib cage. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just looks terrifying. Like this coming at me looks menacing. I think the ship was built backwards. I would prefer this be the front of the ship, especially if it's made not specifically for, but to do planetary bombardment. Could you imagine being a colonist and seeing this thing like swooping down? All of a sudden, there's a shadow. You look up and you see this thing. It's terrifying. It looks like a gargoyle or some creature of darkness coming down. I think this is actually a cool shot, but as the back of a ship.
Well, double down. Now look at the back neck spines. They're now the forehead ridges of the Klingons. Like instant visual connection. Like this would work. I mean, it'd be odd, but yeah, I could see this working actually a lot better. And if you replace the front piece with then a more conventional bird of prey engine module piece, it's a horrifying bat. But yeah, I don't know what the glowing elements are. They're not pointed in the directions that would give thrust. I know they don't necessarily give thrust, but you know what I mean. There's always been that sort of continuity with. I mean, impulse drives they do shoot out plasma. I mean, there is
ionized particles. It's ionized something.
Hence why this confuses me no end, because nothing's pointed in the correct direction.
Yeah.
Now I know obviously if you slanted it this way, and then went like that, but then the bridge is facing down. It looks daft. Like it has more of a. It doesn't feel right either. That's why I feel like the wings need to move and the two pieces need to move to alternate to different configurations, because it's screaming for that. Its design, like it feels modular by having all these different zones. I mean, cut to the next picture. I mean, that's a really cool view. Actually. And again, I love the exclusive nature of this, that we get to do new renders. Again, this is Versary's model, so it's based on the original, but not as good detail. Although based on it, but wow, I mean that's a horrifying as well.
That's very menacing as well. This gives me more of like a Romulan feel. This one looks almost like the Romulan symbol somewhat.
Yeah. But, and do you note a forward torpedo launcher like every other bird of prey?
Yes. Wow, there could be two. There's like one on the very end there, and then the lit one down halfway. Could be the deflector. Yeah,
but there is certainly one in the mouth, which was at least a nice bit of canon they stuck to. But yeah, I mean, it's, you make this back piece straight, and then you've got a bird in flight, and it might do that. I hope they can make that make sense. I mean, you can change geometry. They gave the Enterprise or bird of prey a shuttle bay. It's like if you put the shuttle bay, there's no space for anything else. Okay, but they did it because they had to for one shot. I mean, I don't understand the color palette. It feels like a dead husk of a creature. It's so bony and lifeless, and the blue glows are not very. I mean, would this have been improved for just being green? And then you've got these stripe panelings where you could put different variations of the green, of the grey, of the red, of a bird pattern. You can actually include that in the design. Would that, given that color palette, would that enhance this?
It's hard to say. I'd have to see it. It might be more visually representative of a bird of prey that we were familiar with, even if they can't do it design-wise. Some color splotches here and there of that green would help, I think. This angle makes it look very much like it has a long neck, which the boom section that these ships need, which is odd, but it looks. I like this view. I really do.
Yeah.
Whether it's flying towards you or away from you, either one works in this one. As being the front, ooh. I could really see.
And it's amazing. This ship looks different from every single angle.
Yeah.
Speaking of, the next view, directly front on.
Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Now this is the scimitar, right?
No.
It's got those forward swept wings though,
Yeah.
Looks like the arch into a dark magical city.
Yep. No, I'm. Every time I see that front glowing bit, I think of generic sci-fi where they've got that robot with a single helmet, and it's like that's the thing they have.
Yeah.
Like it's so its own thing and not linking to any of the continuity that you're left with thinking, what? I mean, is that a window? Are we saying all the Klingon ships have Windows 2? And if they don't have windows, why do Federation ships have windows? The sarcophagus ship does, but that's like 5,000 years old.
I was going to say, the sarcophagus ship does, but
this view certainly indicates though the wingspan's wrong. Like it should be further out. It doesn't feel. It's been pulled. It's been stretched. It's been.
Yeah.
It's not balanced. It's not. Yeah, it's not balanced.
Yeah, these wings needed the ability to move, to articulate, to have different, settings. I think it would have really improved this ship overall. But yeah, this is a odd looking view. It doesn't look very menacing from the front.
Well, let's look at the bridge module close up. Boom, close up. And again, this is where the limitations of this model comes in. Obviously, it's not the original, but it's based on the original. And again, very proud to bring these renders to you guys. Thank you, Star Trek Anniversaries, for your sponsor with this Trekyards episode.
Absolutely.
So it does have cannons either side of the. I didn't even see. I've done these renders, but I haven't looked at it before. It's actually got 2 cannons either side of the neck. And
I noticed that on the one picture where you showed me that there was a photon torpedo thing up there. You could see the cannons on each side, but yeah.
Good I mean, that's link.
Yeah,
good job.
That is nice to see actual cannons on it, because it looks otherwise it looks so organic. It's like, where does it fire from? What's going on? But there's that slight little visual tie in there of the barrels, which really helps it. The blue glow is interesting. It's very reminiscent of like V'ger almost. Yeah. The at the end, the blue. They're not windows, I don't think. I don't know what they are.
If they were, they'd be really weird windows. I mean, 3 or 4 decks, big windows. I mean, that's even worse than the design of it having the Federation starship. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, you also can't tell scale.
No.
Like, this to me feels like a living biomechanical backed creature that's been bred to be a spacecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And the glowing bits are something. Something. I have no idea what.
Force. Yeah. Yeah. It confuses me to no end. This ship, this design, this shape, everything about it. I could buy a 2 or 3 man little fighter, coming out of a D7 or something. It works as a small little fighter kind of design.
Yeah, a single person cockpit. Yeah.
Yeah. As a larger ship, I don't quite get that feeling. Like, if you just showed me this ship and I didn't know that it was, or what it was, I would say it's a small little 1 or 2 person fighter, because that's just what it looks like.
You know what the ship is? It's aesthetics over sense, design, and continuity. It's a pure aesthetic. It's an art installation, not a spaceship, not a Klingon spaceship, and not a Star Trek ship. That's one thing that Andrew Probert, we've spoken to him in real life. And he has design elements that are not even in the technical manuals, because they're super in depth. There's little elevators that you can see, but you don't know what they are until you mention them. And there's all these things that he thought out, because guess what, they were designed by in Starfleet. People. This is like, I'm trying to work out why Klingons would do any of these things. I mean, like, I'd put armor on these brittle extension pieces. I'd put guns in them. Like, I wouldn't do any of these things pretty much. All these. It's like the Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, had all these pieces that are sticking out, spine elements. Yeah, that's because they should be covered with armor, but then they got removed because no war. This is like, because
yeah,
we're not complaining. It's just, it clearly doesn't work as a Star Trek ship. So we're trying to give it the fair shout. But it's like, it doesn't work. I mean, how cool would it be though if they revealed in Discovery Season 2 that actually the reason for the Klingons' aggression was that an alien race was influencing them, and gave them organic secondary designs? That'd be a great reveal. That'd explain why everything changed. I'd buy that totally then. How do you incorporate a hybrid of Klingon and organic design? Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Could be cool.
Could be. Will they do it? I doubt it.
Next view. Close-ups.
Close-up of the back, yeah.
These are just close-ups, really. Just to kind of show them in a little more detail.
I do love the spine. The spine look. It looks very aggressive, very cool. And then again, if you flip it too, and that the head where it's like spiked feathers facing forward, it works as equally well. But it's more gothic. This has a very gothic feel, if gargoyles were real and they eventually created space flights. There you go. There's a gargoyle.
Space gargoyles. Yeah, absolutely. But next view, in a close-up, just perspective shots. I guess that's an aft. Well, no, it's not because it's another bit, but that could be an aft impulse, aft torpedo launcher. Who knows? I mean, I was about to say I like the idea of having these ribs, but it isn't a creature. The Klingons don't build ships; they're like creatures. They build ships that fight.
Yeah, and if you look at the sarcophagus ship, or even their version of the D7, they're completely different than this. This has a very animalistic vibe. I mean, the sarcophagus ship has a few tie-ins to this, sure, but the D7 version of whatever they say is a D7
is a Wraith cruiser,
right? It would also make a great Gorn ship from this era, maybe, but that's another video for another day. There's just no visual tie-in with anything with this. You don't see anything else that resembles this. Even their armor, which has the spikes, it's not quite the same kind of feel as this. It's just it's odd.
It's as if this was designed in a vacuum, where someone said, "Right, can you build a bird of prey?"
Put a starship. That's all you need to know. Goodbye.
Yeah, and they said, "Look at this ship, this Enterprise, and the Enterprise era, say." And they said, "Oh, I'll take the head. Everything else is new."
Yeah.
Again, interesting. I don't think it works to have ribs. Like there's ribbing in the both Elder Bird of Praise. But guess what? If you actually look at the design of the TOS movies one, those ribs are actually hinge points. Yeah. It's two sets of lines. It's a mesh that moves. It's not ribs. It's just a clever way of hiding that inside. Like, it's a functional thing.
Yeah.
What do these ribs do? Why are they there?
Maybe in battles, there's energy that goes between them, and that's their shielding system. I don't know.
It's tricky. But the next picture is the last picture. Is the first picture. Again, the view we're used to seeing. It's a weird one. It's a really, really weird one. What are your closing thoughts, Stuart?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's a fantastic design, a cool-looking ship, but it's not Klingon, and it's barely Star Trek. But it does work. What would work for, like I said, something like Life Force, where it's about space vampires. I get that gothic feel from this. It's a cool-looking design. Some of the angles look pretty fantastic. But I would reverse the direction of its flight, make it fly the other way, straighten a few things out, or have things be articulating so you can have different flight configurations. And then you've got a perfect ship here. It could even look more Klingon if you could articulate these things and change the way they look. So that's where I stand on it.
We've said this a lot of times at this point. This ship would work with a few minor fixes or tweaks. Does that imply that everything that's been designed, they've said, right, make it Star Trek, but a couple of points off? And so we're looking at saying, this will work with a couple of points back to where it should be. Yeah. And that could just been the perspective brought in, because I could see this being fixed pretty. I mean, just like we want with TOS, keep the basic core bit structure and just change the details. That would fix this as well.
Yeah, I could see somebody like something. One of the designers coming out with something like Pierre Drouet did for the Bird of Prey for the JJ movies. And they go, that's beautiful. Perfect. Now shorten the neck, keep that color palette, move those wings in, and just make a few changes so it doesn't look like that. So it doesn't look Klingon. Okay. And then you get this. I can see that being the case.
And tune in next time for a more in-depth discussion and look at a comparison. Because again, they say it's prime canon, and they say some things have to visually change. But at the same time, visual canon, because they're in canon. So we're allowed to compare it to the other two Birds of Prey. So we're going to look at a direct comparison between the other two models and see how they stack up. And as we often do find, though, just like with the face cannons, there are things that might happen to work. and we don't get to see it until we do these new renders. So this was a lot of fun, and thank you so much for Star Trek Adversaries for sponsoring this episode and allowing us to bring some amazing shots to you guys, the fan base, and see this Klingon Bird of Prey like you've never seen before, especially in the show because it's so dark.
That's right, guys. And don't forget to go download Star Trek Adversaries. It's a fun game to play, and we really love the guys over there. They're fantastic. So we want to support them in any way we can. And
it is fun.
Yeah.
Seriously, you do have to learn how to play it a little bit, and do use your flagship. But once you know what you're doing a little bit, it's fun.
It is. It is.
And you get to play with these ships like this, or Discovery ships. They're all there. Or a lot of them.
So if you enjoyed this look at the Klingon Bird of Prey, please click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos as well. We got a lot coming up with cool ship designs and stuff. Plus all of our past backlog. We got a lot of stuff. So check all that stuff out.
And if you can, please support us on Patreon, the monthly donation scheme that helps YouTubers like us keep the lights. We have multiple lights because we want a nice crisp webcam. Keep them on, keep them going, and helping us to make more shows like this and get more exclusives like this for you. So support Patreon or a one-time donation at Trekyards.com, or just share this anyway think fans would enjoy it, or just join the conversation on the Facebook page and be part of that. All those things help this channel, help us, and help you get more great content.
That's right, because we all love Star Trek. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Kings.
See you in the future.
Bye, guys.